What do you mean, do it live?
I'll write it and we'll do it live. Good evening.
Good evening, all. Tickety boo, and you?
I maintain that I know it's not, but it sounds like a slur. That's all.
I think it's wishful thinking on your part. Every time you hear it, you're going, is that a new one I can use?
Yeah, like when's the last time we made a new one?
No, it's much easier to say tickety boo and you.
You're gonna get an HR complaint.
Wait, which one are you going to say? The tickety boo or the first one? Okay. Wanted to make sure which one you were talking about.
We do appreciate it. I've got monkey on mute on another tab right now.
I just got the mental image of. Have you seen Jojo Rabbit?
No.
God damn it! Because there's Stephen Merchant is. You guys know who Stephen Merchant is, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, Stephen Merchant in that movie plays one of the SS. Oh no, he's a Gestapo. So he plays one of the Gestapo. And there's this moment of he walks in and just starts greeting everyone. And he walks in first, greets everyone in the way that a Nazi would. Then immediately behind him, another one walks in. He greets them, then they greet everyone else in the same way. Another one walks in. So it's just like a solid minute of just everyone doing the salute. Yeah. Just doing the salute and, oh, hi Hitler. And how are you doing today? Oh, I'm doing very well. And hi Hitler, yourself. And continuing on, and it's just every single fucking person in the room. And they just keep on adding in people. And anytime that someone walks in, everyone has to do it to them and then get it back done to them. It's one of those funny scenes where it's just like, yeah, this works. It sounds stupid as shit, but it works. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm. Mm-hmm. Would be fairly true to form with how bots seem to work. But yeah, how are all of you doing? Because we went off on a tangent on Tickety Boo.
Oh, today was my Friday at work, so Unfortunately, it decided to rain today, which means it throws off my plans for yard work on my days off.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't just like a light rain either. It was like heavy shit.
Torrential.
Yeah, for like 2 hours.
Mm-hmm.
So, to wait for the yard to dry out before I can cut the grass now.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, I'm doing all right.
Oh, that's good to hear.
I'm actually going to step away for a second. I need to get me a drink real fast. I'll be right back.
Fair enough. Mm-hmm. 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 Nice. Mm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I went for the Steel series the last time that I got a new headset, and oh, the Steel series ones are amazing. I got the one that I can hot swap the battery, which is probably one of my favorite aspects of it. Mm-hmm. So I'm checking to see if a pan is getting up to heat because I have an absolutely amazing dinner that I'm going to be making. Just I'm waiting for my pans to heat up. Sadly, I have electric. I wish I had gas, but my apartment complex doesn't. So I'm dealing with. Oh yeah, but the electric isn't terrible. It's just not as consistent of a heat as gas does. So it takes a little bit longer to get the pan consistently hot, which it would be nice just having the even heat of gas right away. But it works out well. And tonight's dinner is going to be fantastic. Like I said, it is a. I got a big block of brisket that I just put through my meat grinder. So I have minced brisket that I've mixed with some sliced onion, or rather chopped onion. Going to toss that into a hot pan, boil up some potato, make mashed potato, fry up the mince and onion, then mix them together, make some Japanese croquettes, and then panko and fry them a bit later. Heavy cream and butter. So much creamier. It's the way that when I'm making mashed potatoes, I normally use heavy cream and butter. Sometimes I'll use, if you can find it, heavy cream. Most places you can only find heavy whipping cream. Heavy whipping cream works. Heavy cream is preferred. Mm-hmm. Yep. But yeah, with heavy cream, there's so much shit that you can do with it. You can make sauces, you can make mashed potatoes, you can make, well, different desserts, which are really lovely. You can do a unbelievably indulgent peaches and cream with it. So the carbs end up being pretty much the same. It's going to be a higher fat content because most of the carbs in mashed potatoes are from potato, because potatoes are just carb. Let me quickly double check. I can't remember what the carb difference is. Okay. Yep, that I think we're looking at the same one. The dairy dish. Ah, so calories between the two, heavy whipping cream is, of course, more calories because it's a teaspoon or a tablespoon versus a glass of milk. So in a tablespoon of heavy cream, you have 50 calories. But carbs, you have 1 gram of carbs. So similar volume to similar volume, it is slightly more, not ridiculously more. Well, a bit more than, it's not an insane amount more, it is more. Let me phrase it that way instead. But you don't really use a full glass of milk in order to make your mashed potatoes, because then you're making potato soup. Johnny's discovering ASMR now with his new headphones.
I'm just wait till I burp. That'll blow your mind.
Why do I feel like at some point Camel is going to have a soda pop and belch ASMR channel?
Oh God, no, no. It takes like all of my willpower to have a semi quarterly Crusader King stream. Okay, yeah, that's fair. Like biannually at this point, it's like every other year.
Thank you for using those fucking terms right. God damn, that pisses me off every time that I hear someone use biannual to mean semi, or semi-annual to mean bi. That's the one that really pisses me off. Yeah, that's what it's supposed to mean. But I've heard people say semi-annual. So we'll have it this year, we won't have it next year. That's biannual. Because you have it once every 2 years. If you have it once every half of a year, that's semi. Semi means half, you fuck. Yes. But it's always a what the fuck is going on? I don't get why people are so baffled by bi and semi and try.
I don't know, man, but like with my job, we just got bought over by another corporation.
Mm-hmm.
So they switched the pay structure from being set, same 2 days every month to, now it's bi-weekly. So,
Which is nice when you get that 3 paycheck month.
well, I mean, I was still getting paid, for that extra, time on the month,
Yeah,
if
but
it rolled on a schedule, but it was just on the first paycheck of the next month.
Yeah, but the way that it typically works when you get used to a bi-weekly paycheck is you get used to one of your paychecks is your normal monthly expenses. One of your paychecks is your rent and maybe a couple other things. And then you get used to that throughout most of the year. And then you hit that 3 paycheck month and suddenly you're going, I have all this money. This is amazing. Rather than if you do the top and tail, then it tends to be that paycheck is annualized out. What do you mean they're a lie? How? Okay. So you have the
Yeah, my thing
semi-annual
is,
bill pay of big bills, and it always hits in your triple month.
my thing is that I had my bills set, according to I knew I was like, all right, I'm getting paid on the 7th and the 22nd every month. And if those days fall on a weekend, I get paid, the Friday before. But like all my bills were arranged to be in that time frame, and now it's gonna be rotating.
Yeah, that's the one part that sucks when you swap between them. Like I said, though, that triple paycheck month, that's always nice.
Yeah, but I mean, like I said, with the bi-weekly, I was having I would have that a big paycheck at the beginning of the
Oh,
month.
yours did the big paycheck. A lot of them end up doing it where they kind of annualize that out almost, where rather than doing a big paycheck,
Well, like I mean, it was like the pay periods were like the paycheck we get on the 22nd would be from the 1st to the 15th of the month,
okay.
and then the paycheck we get on the 7th of the month is from the 16th to the end of the previous month.
Okay, because yeah, some places that I've seen do the
So like the months where we have like 31 days, yeah, my paycheck the next month is going to be that first one's going to be a little bit bigger because I have an extra day of work on
fair
there.
enough. Yeah, the way that I've seen some places do it is functionally what would be that third paycheck is almost treated like it was a salary because it's just they figured that out ahead of time
Yeah.
And then they average that out into all of the paychecks.
Well, I mean,
And then if you work some OT, that you'll still get in the first paycheck of the next month. But
I also work at a place where people
overall,
call in all the time, so I can pick up hours if I need to.
Yep. Yeah, the OT is always going to be paid out in the next month's first paycheck in that sort of scenario.
Speaking
Whereas
of,
if it's just the standard amount, then it tends to be averaged, or it can be averaged by some places.
speaking of pay, I need to confirm this at some point, but I was told that like Monday was Memorial Day, right?
Yes.
I worked Monday. I was told we were getting our straight 8, regular pay plus time and a half. I was like, hell yeah,
So 2.5?
pretty
Holy
much.
shit.
I was like, yeah, like I scrub toilets for a living. Go ahead and pay me over $20 an hour.
I've never heard of a place doing 2.5 holiday. See, even if a lot of jobs, the highest that I've heard is you can get 1.5 easy, or if you're working holiday as OT, then you get 2. Most places it's 1.5 is your standard holiday. 2 if it's holiday and OT.
But yeah, I was like, hey man, like if that's the case, sign me up for all the holidays. I'll fucking work them all. I like old people.
Probably like old people more than young people.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, like one of our residents has like a granddaughter, great granddaughter, something like that. I don't know how old she is, but as far as I'm concerned, she practically 12 to my eyes. Like you could be 22. I have no clue. Like I can't judge ages without asking for ID.
I was worried where that sentence was going when you first started it, not gonna lie.
I worked in convenience stores for over a decade, man. I'm used to just being like, all right, let me see your ID.
Yep.
Like, nah, I don't believe you. Bust out the driver's license.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I've come to realize like I'm a fucking middle aged dude because listening to this young person talk is just nails on a chalkboard. Pretty much, yeah. There's one tweet that I always come back to, or like they're talking about just being on Twitter, but I've extrapolated it out to just life in general. Like uh, I shouldn't be subjected to the opinions of a teenager, and it should be treated as a human rights violation.
Nice.
One day, actually, I heard this girl. She's walking up and down the hall, just bebopping around on her cell phone. She's supposed to be a volunteer, like on her phone. Oh, I'm at work. It's like, no, bitch, I'm at work. I'm getting paid. You don't have to fucking be here. You have no bills that you have to pay. I think this is just like I think this is like some kind of reverse psychology, evil genius manipulation by their parents to get them out of the house on summer break.
Nice.
And I mean, kudos to them, but I just wish that they'd have found some other form of daycare that didn't involve my place of work.
So what's the most brain rot thing you've been exposed to because of it?
I try to tune it out, and I try to keep my earbuds in, so I. But yeah, that was for me. That's when I really like just tuned out because I would say something otherwise, like, oh, I'm at work. Like, no, you're not, bitch. You do not have to be here at all. I have utilities to pay and a car payment to make, food to buy. Yeah, yeah. And at this rate, I think these dogs have become more expensive than kids. I think it would have been like to my economic benefit to have had kids instead of these animals. I can't have a tax write-off for these dogs.
Kids can, at least at a certain point, be sent out to work. Is that the thought process?
No. I'm just saying, like, there's no, like, I can't claim the dogs on my taxes. Johnny, tell him how much that child tax credit is, man. You've gotten more of them than I have.
Damn, nice.
Most I've ever gotten back for taxes, just claiming just myself, single, no dependents. It was like maybe 300-400.
Yeah, I'm about the same, I think.
Which means the government took like $300-400 extra of my money and then gave it back at the end of the year with no interest.
Yep. And that's the part that pisses me off.
It's like, seriously, man, how much of the government am I actually funding with my like 15% of like $20,000? Come on.
I actually looked into this. So, if you remove the entirety of the military budget, the federal law enforcement, the international aid, the emergency relief funding, the science funding, and the environmental protections funding, how much of the federal revenue do you think is represented?
Less than half.
So if you remove all of those, you're still at about 105% of the federal revenue.
Because what? Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security?
Yep.
Yeah.
So by removing those, you've removed about a third of federal spending. And those are all things that I'm pretty sure pretty much every motherfucker alive goes, yeah, those are things that the government should be the one that does them. If anyone's going to do them, it should be the government. Some of them, like, there's the debate of if the EPA shit should be as much as it is. That's an argument. Some people will say that, well, we shouldn't spend as much on the military. We spend 12.5% of the federal budget on the military. That's all R&D, all the staffing, all the equipment. That's a lot lower than the number that most people hear, because most people are told that we spend 50-something% on federal budget, or on federal military spending. The thing is that that's 50% of our discretionary spending. Our discretionary spending is about 25%. So yeah, when you're talking about how much is spent on military, 12.5% of federal budget is military spending. And again, our spending routinely is about 1.5 times what our revenue is.
Oh, that reminds me actually of Sanguine Reason had a tweet was it yesterday, day before? Oh, he'll pull up now. Twitter decided to be an asshole. No, I don't. Yeah, there we go. I guess they posted an article. Are Americans really prepared to spend $1 trillion to deport undocumented immigrants? or undocumented migrants.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just posted some song lyrics as a quote. Send them back, send them back. Give them one good whack and half an hour to pack.
Nice.
Oh, yeah, it was one of those satire apps that was passed around when I was in high school. Warm- some pretty decent songs on that one.
But yeah, it's infuriating when you look at the
It's not
actual
even
data of
Mexicans
things.
anymore. It's
Yeah.
like, I mean, at the very least, it's like with Mexicans, like, all right, they're right there. You know, same with Canadians. Although, like, I feel like we should probably have a wall on that border too.
I
But
feel like what we should do, and I think I've mentioned this on the screen before, my ideal policy, it is absolutely something that we couldn't do, but my ideal policy would be if you come into the US illegally, we'll give you an opportunity to say where you came from and to provide evidence of that's where you came from. If you do, we'll send you back. If you don't, we go to either a wheel or a dartboard.
roulette wheel.
Yep, with a bunch of other countries' names on them.
You
Any
crap out
country,
if you hit Somalia.
any country that has criticized our immigration policy is going to be on that wheel, as well as a smattering of other countries that we aren't exactly friendly with. And if we hit that country, that's where you're going. So you better hope that you get like a Germany or France or some shit like that.
And not
Maybe
Venezuela
Canada.
or North Korea.
That you aren't getting sent to Chad.
Or the Congo.
Yeah.
One of the stands.
Yep, exactly. And I'm curious how quickly the number of immigrants that we get at the border would change.
It's like we got Russians and Chinese people. Like, come on. We're not even trying anymore.
And the thing that's infuriating is the people that keep on saying, well, they're seeking asylum. Okay. What does asylum law say? Because asylum law is defined internationally. Do you guys happen to know what asylum law says? The first safe country that you enter is the one that you have to apply for asylum. If you're an African refugee that made it through to somewhere in South America and then up through Mexico, you've hit a bunch of other fucking countries. So that isn't, the US isn't your first safe country that you hit. You hit a shit ton of other countries. You stop there, you apply for your asylum there. But you send you back to the country that you first hit that was the safe country. But it's infuriating when you actually look at the stats that people say that they're citing, and then you realize what the fuck the stats that they say they're citing say, or how fucked up the stats were done. John, you've heard people that say that homelessness is up, right? So do you know when it's up versus? Homelessness is up versus 2021. Do you know what it is if you look past 2021? It's down. It's not up. It's down. When you look at one of the other things people like to say is, well, wages have been stagnant since the 70s. Do you know how they calculate the wages have been stagnant since the 70s stat? What they do is they take the median income and then they compare that to the GDP. There's absolutely no fucking reason on earth that you would ever think that the GDP should track to the median income.
Good evening, Sora.
Hey, Sora. Because
Yeah, I had to reset the router. It's dropping out on me. We had pretty heavy thunderstorms earlier today, and I don't know if the internet's been acting wonky because of that. So yeah. How did we get onto the GDP? I thought we were talking immigration before I dropped out.
we were, and then I started going through stats that people.
I mean, I feel like we should go ahead and just send the homeless back along with the immigrants. You know, give them a taste of their own medicine. Mexicans are already bitching about how, like, you know, undocumented Americans are causing inflation in Mexico. Fuck them.
Yeah, they're complaining that a bunch of.
Yeah, Mexico is deporting Americans. Let that sink in, folks.
They're deporting mainly Californians, last I saw.
And I understand it, and I respect that decision. I would deport Californians too if I could, you know, save for a couple.
Yep.
But I mean, if it's good for the goose, that's all I'm saying.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But the reason why the GDP got brought up was, you know, the stat that people will brandy about of wages haven't increased since the 1970s.
Yeah.
So that stat's complete bullshit.
Well, I mean, do you know what the minimum wage would be if it was actually tied to, like, inflation?
It started at 1970s was when we had the 7.
No, I mean from when it was originally instituted.
When was it originally instituted again, and how much was it?
If I'm not mistaken, it was originally instituted, like, I think during FDR. I want to say it was like maybe like what, a quarter an hour, something like that.
Okay, so let me
roughly would have came out to like $5.50 an hour, something like that.
Yeah, sounds about right.
Which is what I started flipping burgers at 16 years old.
Yep.
So I mean, I really hate the fucking minimum wage arguments.
Oh, also, do you know what percent of the U.S. population works for minimum wage?
No, I don't remember off the top of my head, but it's not a large percentage if I remember correctly.
So, to give you a frame of reference, in the 70s, when most people...
Are we talking federal minimum wage, or are we talking...
Federal. Well, actually, yeah, I think it's federal minimum wage.
Yeah, was that still like $7.25, $7.50 an hour, something like that?
Yep. So, when you look at the 1970s, to give you a frame of reference, the percent of the population that was working for minimum wage or less was 20%. In 1970, 20% worked for minimum wage or less because they're accounting service. In 2024, it's something like 1.8%. So the people going, well, the minimum wage hasn't risen since this time. So fucking what? Almost no one gets paid that. It's 1.8% of the nation is currently working for the minimum wage or less.
I mean, I hate to sound like Mr. Pink, but I mean, it's kind of the same thing with like the arguments with waitresses.
Yep.
I only make, like $2.35 an hour. It's like, yeah, it's because you're a really shitty waitress. You should find a different job.
Yep. Because do you know who tend to be the major opponents to the idea of getting rid of tips?
Waitresses?
Yep. Waiters and waitresses tend to be some of the major proponents. Or
And
major
strippers.
opponents. Sorry. Major opponents of getting rid of the tip. Because there's a shit ton of them that make a hell of a lot of money off tips. If you work at a good place, you can make bank off of tips. But yeah, the way that the wage hasn't increased since the 70s it was calculated was they took the median wage of the 70s. Then they figured out what percentage of the GDP that was. And then they figured out the median wage versus GDP of all the other years. And they're going, well, the GDP has risen, but the median wage hasn't risen as quickly as the GDP. Yeah, no shit. There's absolutely no reason that you would think that they would rise together. In fact, there's every reason to think that it wouldn't rise together. Because if, for instance, you were to magically, any given year, increase the population size by 30% over the previous year, the economy is going to absorb that, and it's going to absorb that by hire more people, produce more shit. You're going to have a higher GDP, right?
Yeah.
Makes
sounds
sense?
right.
So if you did that calculation that they're using for figuring out that wages haven't increased since the 70s, and you do that with the scenario that I just gave of 30% growth across the board, GDP, population, which would also be the population of workers. Do you know what that would do to the wages, assuming that the wages didn't suddenly jump for no fucking reason? Which they wouldn't. It's about a 25% cut, according to that stat. It isn't a 25% cut. Does absolutely nothing. But that's how they figure out the fucking stat for that. Whereas what it should be is, if you want to figure out if wages have increased, look at the wages, control for inflation, look at them over time. Do you know what happens if you do that?
What?
Wages have exploded. From the about late 1970s, 1980s until now, has a larger slope, a higher slope than the pre-late 1980s. So wages were growing more slowly in the 70s, then kicked up towards the beginning of the 80s, and have continued to increase their slope as time goes on. Meaning that we're being paid more when we control for inflation. And that rate of increase has been increasing. We're getting dicked over. We aren't getting paid as much as we were in the 70s. Horse shit. And I saw one of the most infuriating things, which was someone saying that we were better off during the Carter years than we are now. I did a quick inflation calculation on what the price of fuel would be if it had maintained the Carter years price. Any guess for how many dollars a gallon it was?
What?
21. So what you do is you do a simple inflation calculation. So inflation, we have the annual inflation rates. So it's a compounding inflation. So if you're looking at between year 0 and year 3, and year 1 had a 2% inflation, year 2 had a 3% inflation, year 3 had a 1.5% inflation. What you do is the original number times the year 1 inflation, then that number times the next one, and then that number times the next one, because each one is adding on to the previous one. It's inflating from the previous year. So you do the nested inflation calculations. And yeah, because the highest price of fuel during Carter's time was something like 6 or 7 something. When you do that calculation, you end up with $21 and some odd cents.
All I know is that Biden releasing more oil from the strategic reserves, it barely managed to drop gas prices where I'm at to like just under $3 a gallon.
Yep.
And now guess what? It's back up 10 cents.
Yep. Because what we need to do is we need to increase our production, not just open up the strategic reserve.
You know what really gets me about the whole strategic reserve thing?
Mm-hmm.
They really want us to go to war with Russia, and yet they keep selling off our fucking oil.
Yep.
I'm getting mixed messages.
Yep.
Like, what do you guys want? Really?
It's infuriating because shit doesn't make sense. People keep on using stats that make absolutely no fucking sense. You can't verify the numbers of their stats. Or if you try, you quickly realize, oh, this math is fucked. It makes no sense why they would compare it in this way. But currently the popular thing to do is we were better off at points previous in our history. That's not to say that everything's better. There's certain aspects that, yeah, you can look at the past and you can go, the level of community that was present in the past was greater than the level of community that we have now. Yeah, sure, that could be the case. But saying that we're earning less? Fuck you, no we aren't. Saying things, or saying most things cost a hell of a lot more. If you're calculating for inflation, no they don't. If you're just looking at it without calculating for inflation, yes, because we have an inflationary monetary policy. Like I said, this shit just drives me up the wall because the math is fairly easy to do. The data is all publicly available. But people will just say shit without actually doing the data analysis correctly. And sometimes their data will directly contradict them. My favorite example of data directly contradicting people is when people say, well, the middle class is dying and everyone's becoming poorer. And you look at the data for that, 2 out of every 3 people that leave the middle class move up in class. Not down. That's not people becoming poorer when they're moving up. Now that I've spurred out for a little bit. Sorry. It's just this shit. I keep on seeing it, and it drives me crazy. Because the numbers, they don't work.
What the fuck is that dog barking at? I'll be right back.
So, Johnny, did you have any topics? Couldn't be fucked to find enough to care? Just tiresome bullshit again and again and again and again.
Hey, Sanguine, since you're making food, I figured I'd share a meme with you in the side chat.
Okay, let me pull up this meme. I'm worried as to what I'm about to see. Very nice.
I know both your parents were crayon eaters, but you strike me as an Air Force guy based on your palate.
The civilized taste. I was worried that you were going to say either Navy or CIA.
No. I mean, does the CIA even have a sous vide machine?
Fair point. Fair point.
Sora says they can't hear you, Johnny. It says your icon is showing sound, but can't hear anything.
That's particularly strange since
How about that? I think it's because it changed my default in StreamYard. So because my headset has a mic attached to it, so it's not saying that that's the default, but I don't know why, because my default's supposed to be set to the snowball. So I don't know why it's, of course.
Well, it'd have to be the one that's set as your default for OBS, not for StreamYard.
Yeah, that would be my snowball. I don't know why.
Is it doing the annoying thing where it will tell you the wrong one?
Probably.
So you have to
It just
reselect it?
it just went to default, which is weird enough because the default is the snowball.
Mm-hmm.
But that default isn't our default.
So has he been able to be heard by chat yet?
Sort of said she can hear me.
Okay, cool. Camel, you hear anything interesting as of late?
How so? Interesting.
Shit to laugh at, shit to think about, shit that makes a good topic.
I was gonna do an intro based off of the guy that made the video about Windigoon.
Oh yeah, that fucker.
I listened to Monkey and Jack talk about it, and I saw the Willie Mac video, and oh my god, I could not imagine sitting through 3.5 hours of that dude.
Yep.
And
I was gonna start the Minion stream. Today we have Hey Camel, who is a far right YouTuber and gun crazed influencer. Like it's such like such a pain in the. Like
I would have just called you a polyword and just logged off.
Which is the fitting response. And
And
So I don't know what the fuck happened to Johnny, but I'm out.
And Sanguine, not that I can prove it, but he is suspected to be far right and a gun nut. And he is friends with the Hey Camel, who is also far right. Did I mention he was far right? I could have mentioned it was far right.
I do be liking them Hawaiian shirts, I will admit.
oh, that was the part that was the funniest to me. The fact that he said that
Yeah, wearing a Hawaiian shirt is a far right dog whistle while wearing
a Hawaiian shirt.
But I'm doing it ironically. I was doing it.
No, motherfucker. No.
I was doing it with good intentions.
This is a rule of thumb that I always fucking have. If someone says that doing X, Y, Z is always indicative of something, if they do it, then I go, oh, you just fucking told me that you're doing it. Or that you're X, Y, Z. It goes that way every fucking time. There's the Vosh who went on tirade after tirade for a while of people that enjoy lolly are clearly chomos. And then he has a fucking folder. Also, he's been talking about how he would reduce the age of consent. Also, he has all this shit, and he has this shit, and he commissioned his wife to draw this. And it's just, what the fuck is wrong with these people? Because if you say that everyone of a group does something, I'm going to assume you mean many people of that group, unless you're part of that group, and then I'm going to assume that you mean you do it. Because if you didn't do it, then you would know not everyone in that group does it. But if you're saying everyone does it, and you're part of that group, you're part of everyone, you're fucking doing it, and you know you're doing it, which is why you didn't exclude yourself from it.
Yeah, and fucking hell. And the shit. There was something else there. I'm brain farting now. I'm scrolling Twitter at the same time, so it's kind of a distraction.
Was it about how every single one of his reviews was insanely political? And he started out the hills have eyes functionally in order to argue that, you know what, perhaps the incestuous cannibals had it right all along.
Yeah. They're just, it's self-defense.
Mm-hmm. Everyone knows that if people end up crashing on your property and they go searching for their dog that ran away, you have to kill and eat them.
That's how it works.
It's just the rules. If you don't, they're going to do it to you. And that bit was the particularly funny part to me. Because again, what was one of his major arguments? That Windigoon was a racist? It was where he lived?
It's because of Appalachia.
Yep. But suddenly, the fucking redneck incestuous cannibals, they're the good people. But if you live out in Appalachia and you're kind of a redneck, you're clearly a racist. So we have him saying that the people, according to his own view, that are clearly racist are the good people. And him saying that if you wear the Hawaiian shirts, that's an alt-right dog whistle, as he's wearing a Hawaiian shirt. Is he far right? And just LARPing very poorly? I joke because that would just be his logic to it. But God fucking damn it, he's dumb as shit. And the fact that he was complaining the entire time that he isn't making money, while saying that he does absolutely nothing to make money.
Are we having problems today, Camel?
Oh, I came back and the cord of my headset was wrapped around one of the drawer knobs. So when I sat down, I tried to unplug it. Yeah, I don't have the funds to go all wireless and fancy like some people.
Suck it, poor boy!
Yes, I am a poor. I will admit it. No, yeah, listening to that dude, it was only bearable because I was listening to somebody else listen to his bullshit.
Yep.
Yeah, I know
And
we would have never been.
it's the same thing like Monkey and Jack going over Robert Barnes and Viva Frey.
Yeah.
Talking about Ricada. Which, I mean, I don't know if there's anything really to say about the Ricada thing that hasn't already been said by everybody.
I'm blanking. Give me the primer.
Oh, you don't know about what's going on with Ricada?
I'm blanking. Give me the primer.
He and his wife got arrested for like having like 26 grams of blow, ketamine, and neglecting their kids.
God damn.
Yeah.
That's...
Oh, and apparently, like, Nick was so fucked up he jerked off on stream last week.
God fucking damn.
Yeah, he's been hitting the slopes pretty hard, it looks like.
That is a hell of a turn for him.
Right? I mean, I didn't really get into LawTube. Like, I did watch some of his streams with the Rittenhouse trial, but that's because I had nothing better to do in the middle of the day. I was stuck at the hospital with Nana Camel. So while she was, sleeping and whatnot, yeah, I'd tune in to listen to what was going on with the Rittenhouse case. But after that, like, I didn't really follow him all that much. I'd pop in, occasionally to one of his streams if Monkey wasn't streaming or something. hang out for a little bit, and then just like, okay, well, I'm getting kind of bored. I'll just peace on out. So like I hadn't really paid attention to Nick in what 2 years,
Mm-hmm.
3 at this point.
Yeah.
2.5 years roughly. And then saw that he was trending last week, and saw like the just video of him. I was like, oh my god.
I still haven't made it
Like-
through the Medicare stream, but I'm a good 2/3 the way through. I've been watching the restream from Purity Sin.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Fugi gave me a link to a channel that mirrors Medicare streams, and I haven't got caught up on my backlog yet because I've missed the past few monthly streams.
I tried to download it, but by the time I was like 3/4 the way done, he removed it. And I'm like, shit.
Mm-hmm.
But no, like trying to listen. I'd heard the name Robert Barnes in regards to like LawTube and stuff. You know, again, wasn't really invested in LawTube. Didn't watch, anyone that wasn't really Ricada. You know, like he had a bunch of them on his streams and whatnot. So like I was familiar with a few of the names that were floating around, but never. Shut up. One of my dogs is doing the whole like scratching herself like a bear with a tree on the bed frame, like on the other side of the house. And apparently it feels so good she's got to let the world know about it with sporadic barks. But yeah, like I didn't really listen to Barnes or Viva. You know, I've been trying to spend this year just checked out, right? It's a fucking election year. The news is shit anyway. I don't care, right? But listening to Monkey's stream where he was watching the video of Barnes and Viva, like that dude sounds like half retarded. Like, this is a practicing lawyer.
Half.
I was being generous, just because like he actually like finished law school and I dropped out of junior college. I'll give him some credit, right?
No. What you really meant was he sounded half retarded and half mongoloid.
However you want to phrase it. Because
for those who don't know, Down syndrome, mongoloidism.
But yeah, like just his reasoning is like, dude. I always go back to that line of like, yeah, I mean, I'm not a lawyer, okay, sure, but you know what? I'm also not a helicopter pilot. But if I see a helicopter in a tree, I know somebody fucked up.
Yep.
And I've seen enough seasons of Law and Order. I feel confident saying Nick fucked up pretty hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, that is a hell of a fall.
I mean, he looked like he had cancer AIDS, Sanguine.
It's been a while since I've watched one of his.
All right, let me put this way. From the clips I saw from that last stream he did, which was the jerk off stream, apparently he's the only person I've ever seen that looked better in their mugshot. That should tell you something.
Goddamn.
You're
Yeah, that
roboting
should tell
pretty
you
hard.
something. Clearly, he's the only junkie I've ever seen look better in their mugshot than like walk around in real life. But the part that was the most infuriating listening to with the Barnes and Viva stream, all their focus is on Nick's. Like, there are 5 kids, dude.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, was 8, ranging in age between 6 and 16. There's a 16-year-old who for the first 15 years of his life had a normal mom and dad. And within the last year, they started getting on the Peruvian marching powder and banging other people's fucking spouses. Oh, that's another thing, Sanguine. They had a live-in girlfriend who was the wife of another streamer. Apparently they were doing fat rails and fucking each other's wives.
The fuck is going on?
Yeah.
Yeah, that is a hell of a fall.
So, like, yeah, there's a kid who's driving age right now, who, like I said, for the first 15 years of their lives, you know, fairly normal.
Mm-hmm.
And then they just got to sit there and, like, watch and try to explain to their younger siblings what the fuck is going on.
Hopefully the kids end up okay.
From what I heard, the only positive note so far to come out of this whole thing is they're not in the system. They're with relatives.
That's good.
Yeah. That's the only bright spot I've heard so far out of all this shit.
Mm-hmm.
Because if it started off like, okay, everyone's talking about it because, he's so fucked up he started, jerking the gherkin while he was still on camera.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like, the next day, it's like, oh, yeah, they got arrested. For what? Drugs. Okay, that kind of makes sense, yeah. And then, like, another day or two later, or no, actually, I think it was, like, with the booking info. That's when, like, the whole child neglect thing came out. And then, in the last couple of days, I think the affidavit for search warrant and police report were released.
Yeah, that's fucked. Though, I do have to ask, just because the joke is right there, do you think he went for the blow because of the size of his nose, or was that just...
I mean, yeah, that was the first thing I thought of, too, is like,
I made this
nose,
vacuum industrial strength.
The nose getting pinched for nose candy was just a little too on the nose.
Yeah. So, you do think that was one of the points of appeal to him?
I'm sorry, man. If everyone made fun of me for the size of my schnoz, the last thing I'm doing is going full Scarface. You know?
But you could snort the mound in one go.
Well, I'm not addicted. I just like the way it smells.
Yeah, exactly.
But I mean, those were the two big ones. And then today, the whole Trump trial in New York wrapped up. I got nothing on that really. I've tried. A few of my residents have been watching the news, and while I'm in there cleaning the room, I get bits and pieces. But like I said, I want to tune the fuck out.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, even just a little bit I've heard is like, well, that doesn't make any fucking sense.
Yep. Yeah, the biggest thing that I've heard about that, and from watching the bits that I haven't gone through the entire thing, but watched it here and there, was the prosecution up until the last that I watched, which was right before they were meant to go through with the fucking jurors. They didn't ever actually explain what he was being charged with, or how he had done it, or anything like that. They just said, yep, here he is. He should be in prison. Why? Shut up. Because during closing arguments, they were even going, yeah, they haven't made a case. They haven't said what the fuck is happening. So it's been ridiculous. The bits and pieces. Like I said, I haven't done the entire keeping up to date with it, just here and there. But the bits that I saw, what the fuck? That kind of in accordance with what you were hearing?
I mean, what I was hearing, like, I got this one resident. He was watching Fox News, and then like here recently, he's been watching the CNN ones, and it's interesting to see the like juxtaposition from the coverage.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, the more things change, the more they say the same. I guess that's really what I'm getting at.
So they are getting the footage for the I think the
Oh yeah. Josh Moon from Kiwi Farms is trying to get I think not just the body cam footage from the Ricada arrest, but he's trying to get it to where they can stream the trial if there is one.
That's fitting.
I mean, you either die a hero or live long enough to see yourself become the content on the internet.
Mm-hmm.
His mugshot is now on Know Your Meme.
This is the shit I keep telling my kid about because he wants to do internet stuff, and I'm like, know what you're getting into because this is your future, man.
Just ask him how he feels about good old Uncle Camel, and tell him that's not even 1% of the internet.
That sounded way too dark right there, Camel.
I've made no secret that I bully Johnny's kids. It's for their own benefit. Johnny can't do it as a parent, so like.
Oh, I do enough.
I mean, it's kind of like the American League. Sometimes you got to call in a designated hitter, right?
No, I can bully them, but I can't bully them to the degree that Camel can because
if I make his
Camel's
kids cry, no one's calling CPS.
Camel's
right?
on the internet. I am actually there. Like,
you have to look them in the face as they start to cry. He doesn't.
Oh man, I would buy a webcam just for that. You know? I mean, I remember Omegle. Come on, we can work something out here. It's like Omegle, except every time you hit next, it's just me again.
You tried to hit next again, you dumbass little bitch. How many times are you going to click next? It's always me. Stop. Listen to me. It's always me.
I know I'm
stupid
fine.
little
I'm
shit.
boy.
I mean, if you want to go easy on a kid, I guess you could say that.
Yeah. Well, I can't go full out because we're on air. So you start with the easy shit, then you build up. You're helping him build tolerance for the internet.
Yes, I insult Johnny's children. I try to keep in mind like somewhere like on a spectrum between like Tex Cobb and Arlie Ermy.
Yep.
And that's the guardrails.
Man, Arlie Ermy was awesome to fucking meet when I met him.
Oh yeah, like by all accounts, I've heard that dude was just fucking golden.
Yep. He was
that man was a national treasure.
he was fucking hilarious as well because there he was smoking like a goddamn chimney. And in the middle of like his third and fourth fucking thing that I saw him smoke, he just looks over and goes, "By the way, never start smoking."
I have said the exact same fucking thing while chain smoking. It's like, I love it. You should never fucking touch him.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like it's, and what's really funny to me is like I got quite a few like Marine vets in my facility that I work at, and they're all fucking awesome dudes.
Yeah.
You know, I had a couple of Vietnam vets. I had one of them when I was working in the kitchen. He was like refusing dinner. I was like, all right, well, I work in the kitchen. I'll go see if maybe he wants something different, And I can't remember what we were having for like the entree that night, but the side was rice. And I was like, so is it like a dietary thing? Can you not have this for medical reasons? When I was like, no, I just don't like rice. I was like, oh, okay, that's cool. Worked out an alternative for him. I was like, just out of curiosity, like, is there a reason why you don't like rice? And he's just like, well, I was up to my armpits in it with people shooting at me. I was like, that's a pretty damn good reason. All right, yeah.
I was really expecting it to be something even more just like, oh shit.
Yeah, I mean, he was trying to keep you from getting his ass shot off in a rice paddy. I probably wouldn't want to fucking, deal with that shit either after that.
Yeah, like I said, I was expecting it to be a lot more explicit than just, well, I was up to my armpit getting shot at. I thought it was going to be
mean, there were some expletives, yeah, that's just stock standard, but...
Have you ever been a fucking POW to the Viet Cong? That's the type of shit that I was expecting.
Oh, no, nothing like that. He's like, yeah, I stewed in enough rice patties. I don't ever want to eat that shit again. Like, okay. But I got one of them. Like, he knows I smoke cigarettes, so he'll always like hit me up to like bum one, or like bum a light, whatever. And one day he asked me to go ahead and make up his bed so he could lay down.
Mm-hmm.
Wheelchair bound and all that. And I was like, all right, cool, and I was like, hey, where'd you do boot camp at? And he's like, Camp Pendleton. And I was like, all right, well, and I was about to tell him, I was like, well, this is not going to be like up to Marine standards, all right? There's no bouncing a fucking quarter off this shit when I'm done or nothing like that, but it'll be comfy. But before I could say that, he's like, where'd you do your boot camp at? I was like, I didn't do boot camp. He's like, you look like you did. I was like, it's like, all right, well, I'm going to tell the nurses we need to get you to an optometrist. Like, nobody's confusing me for a fucking Marine, dude. Like, you are old as shit, and we need to get you some new glasses. I was like, I've just been around enough of them, I picked up some lingo. That's it.
And that's the easiest shit to do.
Yeah, I picked up some jargon and some jokes. That's all I got.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's just a simple fact that I'm like one of the only dudes that works there. So like, apparently, I've been told multiple times in the past like year and a half, I'm a big guy apparently. So combine that with the fact that I work with like short stack women, like I look like a fucking giant walking the halls.
See, I was just about to say, at least you haven't been told that you're the second most manly person that works there.
Yeah, there's only one person taller than me, and that is the maintenance guy, who I think he actually qualifies as a fucking giant. Isn't it like over 6'6"? Where you start getting into giant territory?
I think that might be right.
Yeah. Like I'm 6'2", and I'm pretty sure he's got like at least like, if not a full head and shoulders, you know. Yeah, dude's up there. We're the only two people that work there that don't need like a step ladder.
So I don't know about you. I'm starting to fade pretty hard. Is that what we're gonna call it?
Yeah. I mean, I suppose we could. Everyone's watching Monkey and AP anyway.
Yeah.
It's just us and Sora. Should have just gave her the link. She could have come hung out with us for a little bit.
Okay, so it's apparently 7 foot is when the cutoff between just you're a tall motherfucker and you're a giant.
Yeah, well, okay, so yeah, not quite giant then.
So Yao Ming is a giant. Got it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. But yeah.
She says, "Don't bully the Hellcat babies." It's builds character, Sora. We're trying to prepare them for the real world where nobody gives a fuck about them.
Trying to prepare them for the real world, the internet.
I mean, I figure if you can survive people calling you every name under the sun on the internet, I mean, people doing it in real life shouldn't be a problem. It's inoculation. It's what we're doing. It's like how like my dad and Johnny's dad, like just completely desensitized us to all the Indian jokes.
Exactly.
That just reminded me of the one that I sent you.
Mine to the point where I could have killed someone.
Yeah, my dad never went that far. I don't think he trusted me with archery.
Did you hear about this one, Sanguine?
I don't believe I did.
So my dad was teaching me how to use his recurve bow.
Mm-hmm.
And he gave me the gloves, or I don't know, they're gloves. They're the tools to draw the bow. And I have the arrow in.
He's got it
in the
notched
string.
and just
And I pull back, and he leans over my shoulder and just goes, "Hey yeah yeah yeah, hey yeah yeah yeah," and I just let loose, completely lost focus on what I was doing. My arrow completely goes over where I'm supposed to be firing. I have no idea where that arrow's gone now.
Nice.
And I'm like, that could have hit. Like, granted, I was 10 miles outside of any civilized location. But, yeah, heaven help me if I just hit some random hiker with an arrow.
I'm sorry, that would have been hilarious.
That just reminded me, though, of...
I would have just been like, "Hey, Dad, it's your bow, it's your problem." You know?
That reminded me of the
Kid,
joke
those are
that
your
I told-
fingerprints. Like,
That reminded me of the joke that I told Camel when I heard it. Just because everyone knows the classic dot versus feather, right?
Mm-hmm.
I heard another really good one. 7-Eleven or whoa, 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 whoa.
Yeah. I prefer a casino versus call center. That's my delineation. What kind of Indian you're talking about. But yeah, like my dad cracking all those fucking Indian jokes. That's the reason why I don't dance.
Got tired of it raining?
I got tired of all the fucking jokes about it raining. So yeah. My favorite one though, like I hadn't seen my dad or my stepmother for like a couple years, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, talk on the phone and whatnot, but hadn't seen them in person. And I was up in the area with Nana Camel at the hospital, so I figured I'd make an appearance. So I was in the neighborhood. And when I had the really long hair, my stepmother asked me, she's like, "So, did you grow your hair out because of your native heritage?" Like, bitch, you used to wipe my ass. Don't you know me better than that? It's like, no, I'm too poor to pay to have someone cut it, and I don't want to look like I cut it myself because I did. That's simple. Like, why we got to bring race into this? What the fuck? Although I have learned, like, women really like a dude with long hair to the point where, like, I have one drunk chick just walk up, like, randomly and ask if she could touch my hair. I want to apologize to all black women everywhere. I thought you all were bullshitting. I did not think white bitches would just randomly walk up and want to touch somebody's hair. I didn't believe it.
Actually, it's really funny. One of my oldest friends is a black lady, and she moved out of town for a while. Just happened to stop by once. So we were walking downtown, and like people would run across the street to ask her to touch her hair. And I'm
That's
just
fucking wild.
I'm like, and not just white people, black dudes
sorry,
too.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
What, black dudes never seen black hair before? Really?
I guess not. Like, I mean, Montana's a hell of a thing, a hell of a place, but I guess they
Like, oh shit, that bitch got natural hair. All we got is weave. Can I touch that?
But yeah, she had a natural, like, well, it wasn't naturally froey, but it was naturally curly hair.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so it would fro up, and she's just like, they're like, do you use product on that? And she goes, no. It's like nothing unusual, at least.
Mm-hmm.
And so
No.
they're like, can I get that? And she's just like, yeah. Like,
I mean, Johnny has actually seen a picture of me. He can attest. I have a luscious mane. But, like, yeah, it was just wild. Like, just randomly. Like, I was at work, too. It was when I was working, like, the overnights at one of the convenience stores. Just drunk chick randomly one night. Can I touch your hair? Like, I'd rather you didn't. Like, no. No, thank you. But, yeah, I thought black women were bullshitting. No. Apparently it happens. It happened to me.
I've had people ask to pet my face.
Chinese people don't count, all right?
I've had non-Chinese people ask as well.
Okay, that's weird.
I had, at one point, a line of people that were all asking to pet my face.
I mean, tell me you tapped into, like, your inner PT Barnum and you charged them money first, right?
Oh, I was absolutely...
Step right up,
The
step right up.
the temptation was there.
The first, like, one or two, I was going, sure, whatever. And then I noticed that there was a line of... Just looked over at my friend and I went, how much?
Break out the
$1?
hat.
$1 a good amount?
$1 a stroke. Like, how much do you like this beard?
But yeah, I had quite literally a line of people that were petting my face. It was very strange.
I'm sorry, I don't want that many. I'm not a germaphobe, but I don't want that many strangers having their hands that close to my mouth and my nose and whatnot. No.
Yeah.
Like, you guys better queue up at the sink first. I better see, like, at least 2 rounds of Happy Birthday before you come, like, trying to paw my crumb catcher. All right. I think that's a good place to stop.
All right. So yeah,
Quick, think something else.
Sanguine, you're not going to be streaming tomorrow?
I'm going to be streaming tomorrow. It's next week that I need.
Next week. Okay. All right. And with that, we will close with this. And I'll share it on here too so that you guys can see it.
Mm-hmm.
If I can get it to actually do the share.
Is this Battletoads? Is there audio associated with this?
Yeah. Well, not that it's important.
Nice.
Was he garbly for you too?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, that's cool.
It is what it is. Frog going through a table. That's fine. But with that, the zoo is closed. Have a good night, everyone.
Good night, all.
By everyone.
Bye, Sora.
By everyone, I mean Sora.
Have a good night, Sora.